Another DC film. I'm so disappointed. And guess what? That movie sucked because it's a DC movie that the people from the Warner Brothers studio doesn't even want to acknowledge that the Zack Snyder movies suck, that the Wonder Woman movie suck, the Aquaman movie suck. They won't let this movie die. So obviously, Shazam was a very, very atrocious film. Gotcha. Do you expect me to shit on that movie? No? Right on the get-go, I will say this. Shazam was really good. Yep, I just came back from Shazam. I really, really was entertained by this film, which surprises me. I mean, how did this happen? Ever since Zack Snyder stopped making DC Universe films, the movies from the DC films are getting better and better. I mean, look at Aquaman. Look at Wonder Woman. No movie that had the Zack Snyder stain in it were shown that they were pretty more competent films. My only thing, including Shazam, is that it still don't want to let go that continuity on the cinematic universe of the DC universe. They still don't want to let it go, and unfortunately that technically harms the reputation of those films. Here's my little rant for the DC universe. Remember that I said that I'd rather have this continuity of cinematic universe die and reboot it again? I got a new plan. How about if you remake Man of Steel, remake Batman vs Superman, remake Justice League, or even Suicide Squad? Remake them, but with better actors, better casting, and even better storylines. There, I fixed your continuity. And let's erase those movies from existence and make them better. There, here's a good excuse for a remake instead of making useless remakes like Disney is doing. Okay, that was my corner of ranting to DC. So, but this is not the case for now. I think that today we're gonna talk about why I really like Shazam. First off, a little bit of a backstory. It's funny how I wasn't much of a Shazam slash Captain Marvel, whatever you want to call it, copyright legal dispute that I'm not gonna go with. I never knew him as much as Superman and Batman. So let's say that he was kind of like a B-list superhero, except that he's only known for mostly the most hardcore of the DC universe. I do remember that the first time I knew about Shazam, funnily enough, was that really silly Saturday morning cartoon in which it was three of the Marvel family, and I do remember one said Shazam and the other one Captain Marvel. Oh man, that was really, really old until later I began to get more knowledge about him as the superhero, and so on and so on. And while I knew a little bit about the backstory of the character thanks to... Oh yeah, before that, I do have to mention that I kind of began to know a little bit more about the backstory of Shazam thanks to a comic that I read. And the comic is also called Shazam, but you won't believe who made that comic. That comic was made by Jeff Smith. Jeff Smith is the guy who created this great comic named Bone. I highly recommend you to read that comic. It's great, and his artwork is great. But anyway, that gave me the insight of who Shazam is. And then after going through all this DC universe, two serious plot lines that they were doing, the Shazam trailer kind of came out a little bit like the oddball of them all. It looked a little bit more lighter and sillier, but still, I was a little bit invested by saying that, okay, we need to lighten up a little bit after the fiasco of, Justice League and all this stuff. I finally came the day that I just went to see it, and I just came out loving this film. It might have its slew of problems, but I'm heartfully gonna say that this is probably the best DC Cinematic Universe that I have seen in terms of production value and a little bit of likability value. And so, many people might argue that Wonder Woman is the better one or Aquaman is the better one. I can understand. But right now we're talking about Shazam, and it's time for me to talk to you why I really came out really loving this film. The movie is basically an origin story, like many beginning superheroes movies has to do. I'm not against origin stories. I know that it's kind of like a repeated formula in movies, but I don't mind because honestly, I'm sick of people kind of saying that, oh, it's an origin movie or it's an origin film. But keep in mind, people, that we need to start somewhere. When we have a hero or something like that, we need to start somewhere. That's the only thing I can say. But basically, the movie, the story of Shazam, basically it centers on this 15-year-old orphan boy named Billy Baxter. He's kind of like this street urchin that he runs away from foster homes. He goes on his own. He's technically, again, like a street urchin. But he has his big mission that he's been looking for his mother, that he lost her in a carnival years ago. And until he ultimately gets captured by the police and been sent to the latest home, foster home, which is taken care of by a guy and a woman who I'm not gonna bother exactly to try to remember the actor, but let's say that they're kind of like a likable, genuine loving family, and there's also the adopted children. Let's say that one of them is kind of like for lack of better words, a fat kid that he remains silent a lot of times. There is the older teenage girl. There is the kind of like this precious little girl that kind of looks like she came out from the Cosby Show. There is this Asian kid who is very tech-wise because he likes to play video games. Kind of cartoonish. And also the one who becomes Billy's friend, the guy named Freddy, who is this kid who loves superheroes and superheroes to the point that he even got a batarang and a bullet that was reflected from Superman. Oh, and also he is crippled. He's crippled with one leg, so he has to use what was it called, a stick to walk. That's basically the kind of like the setting, what I'm saying. But okay, I'm going a little bit long. But the thing is that what happens is that while the story of Billy Baxter is happening, on the other side, there is this place called the Council of Wizards, where there is this old criminology wizard played by Dijon Hanso, who for many years he's trying to look for someone to inherit his wizarding powers, but he's looking for someone who is pure of heart, and he's struggling with it. But one instance he managed to call out kind of like this kid with glasses who he's having a very shitty life because he's been bullied by his rich-ass brother and his rich-ass father, who they always berate him by saying, "Oh, you're such a whiny little bitch," something like that. But because this kid was tempted by the spirit of the 7 deadly sins, he fails the test. He doesn't get the powers, and he has to live more life as more time as a miserable shit. And well, he grew up to become Mark Strong. And because of this experience, the character that Mark Strong plays, he plays up as the grown-up kid. And for some reason, with the glasses and everything, he looks like the bad guy from Persona 5. But let's say that he gets so obsessed of finding this wizard world, this wizard council, that so much that he managed to decode the runes to open the door to the place where the wizard is. So basically, he finds it after many years, and he managed to steal the power of the 7 deadly sins. And with that, you know that when it's about demons with 7 deadly sins, the world's in danger. So the wizard, after many years, he couldn't find his champion. Oh yeah, he called it the champion. Before because he's dying, he makes one last ditch effort to find someone who is pure of heart. Well, actually, no. He didn't find someone pure of heart. He just said that, okay, whatever, I'm desperate. I'm gonna find the first one who gets it is gonna be the one who inherits my power. And that one is none other than Billy Baxton. So as you know the mythology of Shazam, basically Billy Baxton is technically a teenager, basically a child. 14 to 15 years old. In this movie, 15 years old, and he gets the power of the wizards, and when he gets the power, he turns into adult. In this case, he turns into Zachary Levi. If you are wondering, for the uninitiated, you know that Shazam it was not only the wizard's name, but it's also an acronym for, I'll read it here because sometimes I forget that Shazam is also an acronym for the deities that compose the magic powers of him. Usually mythological gods. Like the S is for the wisdom of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, the stamina of Atlas, the power of Zeus, the courage of Achilles, and the speed of Mercury. That's basically from what I read here. Then the movie kind of turns into the movie Big. If you don't know, that was the movie about this kid who wishes to grow up, and then he got it, and he and his best friend, they go into adult frenzies. And you know what? At this point, the movie becomes a little bit kind of like sympathetic in a way. It's a lot of fun to watch these awkward moments of these basically the crippled kid named Freddy and Billy just goofing around, just taking advantage of their power, because no matter what you think about it, basically they're just kids. They're inexperienced. And yeah, they're giving bad use to their powers because they're irresponsible. And man, that is kind of a lot of fun to see this. That is until shit hits the fan when of course, remember that I talked about Mark Strong being the villain? Well, he wants even more power. He gets so greedy with power that he just wants to look for Shazam to take his powers and become omnipotent. Well, not after this really awesome scene in which it is him having revenge on his family and the board meeting of his father's company. In which he killed them brutally. A little bit bloodless, but still very brutal, and that was awesome. And I'm kind of glad that these kind of movies, they're not afraid to go into dark territory. I will push it a little bit more, but for what it is, I actually really, really like. And at this point, I think that I should not explain too much about the movie because else I will be spoiling it. But I'll say that for the acting is really good. Zachary Levi as Shazam and his elder and what was the name of the kid? Asher Angel as Billy Baxter. They did a great job. Even the kid who plays Freddy, played by Jack Dylan Grazer, this kid was hilarious in a way, and it makes kind of like the tone of the movie kind of makes it feel like these typical 90s and 90s style superhero films in a light-hearted tone, but not afraid to be dark when it needs to. It has this nostalgic feeling that honestly this is kind of like a good thing. We needed a little bit of a break from very, very serious superheroes that takes things a little bit too seriously. I prefer when things are a little bit balanced, kind of like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That one felt the closest to a Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it's one of the good, light-hearted sides. And I really encourage that a lot of movies should keep up that pace. Well, as much as I like to praise this movie, I think it is fair to at least deflate the ego of those films, because there's some things that might nag some people. Maybe probably the goofy tone kind of overstays its welcome over and over, and yeah, many people will say that probably for someone who is supposed to be pure of heart, he's doing some really, really naughty things. But in defense of that, I'll say that this kind of proves that looking for someone really pure of heart is basically kind of very picky and, to be fair, non-existent. Non-existent, and I'm kind of glad that the movie kind of even makes fun of that. Not makes fun of that, it just kind of points it out. And Billy Baxter is not exactly technically a good kid. He's a good kid at heart, kind of like a reluctant hero. But he's still basically an inexperienced, rowdy kid. But this is technically his arc. It is his arc that he has to understand that he really got the chance of a lifetime, but it still is a big responsibility that he has to do. I mean, remember, Spider-Man also had this problem. Peter Parker, when he got his power, he even uses his power to try to get some money until shit hits the fan and he finally realizes the responsibility of big powers has. And in this case, it's mostly Billy Baxter trying to trust other people. He's not exactly alone in the world, and he's so fixated on trying to find his mom, especially considering that he finds it odd that it's been many years since he's been trying to look for her, but it doesn't look like she bothered to look for him. I'm not gonna spoil you what happens, but it's really heartbreaking. I'll tell you this. It's really heartbreaking about what happens, and this really makes the movie even better. And another thing that many people complain, and I think that I might share, is that this movie also has the bullies. Yep, the typical 90s bullies, but in this case, they got bullies that they bully on a crippled kid. Yep, they crippled Freddy. They bullied Freddy. It was technically a crippled kid. There's even this scene that they knock him with a car, and they beat him just because he just made a dent on the car. And the funny thing is that we're the adults. You know what? In a way, I kind of understand that, because let's face it, real life kind of also sucks, and even things that are happening even in our adulthoods, even adults kind of put a blind eye to this. But this is kind of like a big can of worms that I'm not gonna open. But yeah, it's the stereotypical 90s bullies that they're gonna find. Oh, and Oh yeah, and also a little bit of the pacing between the humorous part and then coming to the very serious part kind of feel like it could overstay its welcome. But honestly, I don't mind. I was really entertained during the whole film, so much that it bring me a big smile on my face. Even the climatic battle at the end has its moments that is both heroic but at the same time kind of funny. That in a way it kind of deconstruct itself the superhero genre. And speaking of which, I do want to say one more thing, but it has to do with the ending. So I'm gonna put this. It's a real spoiler because I have to say it. So there is this moment in which Freddy tries to brag to the bullies, saying that, "Oh, I'm a friend with the red guy," but he never comes, and you know he gets even the biggest wedgie of his life. But then at the end of the movie, when everything is solved, Freddy is alone in the cafeteria, but then Billy, to make it up for it, he just comes and say, "Hey," in his Shazam form. He's like, hey, he's my friend and all this stuff. And you know what? I brought someone very special. And here's the thing: what happened. And here's the what I want to nitpick. The friend that he brought is none other than Superman, with the Henry Cavill, thing, uniform and everything. Yeah, he's carrying the cafeteria tray. But here's the bullshit. You never see his face. You never see his face. You see the body, but the face is cut by the camera. And that's it. The movie ends. We don't see Henry Cavill's face. Or was it Henry Cavill? What the hell? What the hell? Did Henry Cavill still have his mustache? What? Okay. But personally, I'm not gonna dwell any longer because I really enjoy Shazam. It has its problems from a little bit of 90s lingo. It has some rough patches in the end, but considering that DC is trying to recuperate from the bullshit that Zack Snyder leaves them, I think this is a very, very welcoming film. Honestly, I really like it. I really like it at the end. I think I enjoyed this movie even better than the other Captain Marvel. You see what I did there. So with that said, I have to get ready for making the review of my other movie. But with that said, Shazam!